Good morning. It is a beautiful late summer, early fall day here in Columbus, Ohio, and we started off the day with just the normal stuff, feeding the baby, getting everyone breakfast, and then starting our homeschooling. And then one of the boys asked, "Do we still have our zoo pass? Do you think we can go?" And I just felt like, why not? We didn't have anything really special on the agenda until later in the day. And so I thought if we can all work together and rally, we can get packed up and head off to the zoo. This is the first time taking our new little baby on an outing by myself, what I would consider kind of a big outing by myself, and not really by myself because we have the older kids with us, but without, an adult. And going to the zoo or going on outings used to be really daunting, and I think when I was younger and I had fewer kids, I kind of made it harder than it needed to be. I would feel like I needed to pack kind of like elaborate lunches, like recreate what we would have at home, but for the zoo. And sometimes just the idea of getting everything packed up and putting sunscreen on everyone and getting the stroller in the car and all of those things almost deterred me enough that I didn't want to go. Oh, real quick. So at our zoo, they're having something called Lantern Festival, and there are all these beautiful fabric sculptures that are very colorful. And then my understanding is that at night they light them up, but in some of the darker exhibits inside, they were lit up, and so we could kind of see a little bit of the effect. And then over there, there's a little baby elephant with her family. That was our very favorite thing that we saw, at least the toddler and I. We were completely enraptured by the sight of this really cute elephant family. They were really performing. And anyways, one of the things that I've learned is that I just need to have the diaper bag always stocked and ready to go with certain essentials. For instance, Band-Aids. So my toddler had a scratch on her face, and then as we were walking around, she started to pick it, and it kind of started to bleed and sting a lot. So one of the things that I've learned is that I always need to have probably about like 6 Band-Aids, and I keep it in this little Ziploc bag with some ibuprofen, and then I also have wax to cover braces, and then a little kind of roller ball thing that has some essential oils that's helpful for like bites and stings. And what I've learned is I just need to replenish. So as soon as I get home from an outing, if we've used up all the Band-Aids, then I need to, before I do anything else, get some more Band-Aids in there and put it back in the diaper bag. So always have the diaper bag stocked with those sorts of things, making sure the same principle applies, with diapers and wipes. If I run out when I get home from that trip, I need to make sure to refill everything right away. So another thing that's kind of made going on trips a little bit more approachable is letting go of perfection in terms of food. So normally when we go do our grocery shopping, I'll buy a few kind of like packaged snack foods, and we don't eat those at home. Those are for throwing in the diaper bag. And so with the zoo this time, since we were trying to just go quickly, get out the door, the priority was to feed the baby again, make sure everyone's gone to the bathroom, and then pack drinks, and then these easy kind of packaged snacks. Another thing that's important that I've learned over time is that you kind of need to have an exit strategy for leaving really fun and exciting places like the zoo. Also, at the zoo, there's typically a long walk to get out to the car. So my exit strategy was to promise ice cream. So we went and got some ice cream at Dairy Queen and some French fries. And it was just kind of a special morning. I love homeschooling, and I love that we can go places when they're not super crowded. It's not peak season. So we got home. Of course, the toddler was completely covered in ice cream because I let her get an ice cream cone. I figured, hey, you only live once. So I got her in the bath, and then I was feeding the baby while I ate some quick lunch, and then the baby fell asleep while she was nursing. So I laid her down, and then I quickly got our toddler into bed for her nap, and then I noticed that we had some really super ripe bananas, and so I thought I would break them up into pieces into a Ziploc bag and then stick it in the freezer, and then that would be ready for smoothies. So one of our favorite smoothies that especially my husband and I enjoy is peanut butter with some chocolate protein powder, some milk, and then some frozen bananas, and then some ice, and that's really delicious. But another one that's really good if you have frozen bananas is a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of frozen mango, a little bit of frozen banana, and then you can do milk, or if you want to make it into something like dessert, like you can do cream and a little bit of sugar if you want to, and it's a really delicious, like tropical, creamy sort of sorbet kind of thing. So before we left for the zoo, I had a flank steak that was thawed in the refrigerator, and I seasoned it really quickly with just garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper, and then I covered it with saran wrap and stuck it back in the fridge. And so after I got those bananas put in the freezer, the baby woke up, so it had only been about 10 minutes that she'd been down. It was not a good nap. So I nursed her again, and then I put her in the wrap, hoping that I could kind of get her back to sleep. But as you can see, I'm doing a lot of bouncing, and she was not really in the mood to be in the wrap or going back to sleep. But since I kind of had already committed to this whole flank steak process, and I knew we had a really busy evening, I wanted to get at least this component of dinner done. And then my energy was a little low, so I thought I would make myself some coffee. It does not have caffeine, it's decaf coffee, but I think part of why I was feeling a little bit low energy is because I was probably a little bit dehydrated. I feel like with walking around at the zoo and being kind of sweaty, and then like with breastfeeding, I feel like I go through a lot of liquid, and so I'm always kind of chasing hydration, but I don't always want to drink water. So I decided to add a little bit of collagen peptides for some protein, and then I added a little bit of sugar and some heavy cream. So this is kind of like my little treat. And then once I got the flank steak flipped, I kind of turned it off but kept it on the burner. And then I went outside to walk around with the baby. And at this point, I video called our daughter who's off at college so we could catch up a little bit. And then after we talked, it was time to pack everyone up for one of my son's soccer games. And then we went straight from that to our church because we had small group and youth group. So then we kind of came home and ended up having the flank steak after that at like 9:30 at night, and I already had some cooked rice in the refrigerator, and I had a bunch of greens, so I just added that. Anyways, thank you for joining me for the afternoon. I've enjoyed having you, and I'm grateful that you watched. I hope that you would consider maybe liking or subscribing to this channel, and I hope that I see you next time.